David, you've been coming here for a long time as a visitor.
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker now. Just tell everybody your impressions of living in the city and getting a feel for what it's like to be a New Yorker.
I'm home. I've never, I'm telling you, it's a funny thing. So I grew up in LA, I get it. You know, everybody thinks West Coast guy, but I act more like a New Yorker than I do a West Coast guy. So it's like funny how it works out. Like people on the street, like they shout across the street at me like, "Coach, you better kick some ass this year." And I'm like, "You damn right we gonna kick some ass." So it's like, you know, and it's like I feel just the energy of the city, the energy of the fan base.
David, obviously since you've been head coach, you watch a lot of film. You know a lot of the players already.
Yeah.
Give me your overall impressions as you head to training camp of this current roster.
Oh, I'm super excited about this group. You know, it's not just the film that I've seen. These guys, we took a week off from Summer League, and they've been here every day since. I mean, you're talking about a committed group. There's very few times that you have 14 to 16 guys consistently in the gym working with your coaches every single day. You know, we don't have like, and you guys will love this, we don't have clowns. Like these guys, they come to work. Like this isn't a game for them. Like, you know, Mario Hezonja, he crashed. You know, Emmanuel Mudiay crashed. Trey Burke crashed. Noah Vonleh. These guys were top picks that failed. They're walking in the gym serious because they know that this is their time to come back. And we've provided them a platform to do it. We're in there working with them every day, and it gives me great excitement.
All right, one guy who's on the roster. But obviously won't start the season. I think it's the #1 question that I get every time I come into contact with Knicks fans is, what's the latest update on Kristaps Porzingis?
So he's excited. He's going to go get his evaluations to try to figure out what the next steps are in his rehab plan. But we've been in touch with Kristaps via text. Scott and I have had a couple of phone conversations with him. Our training staff, our coaches have been over to visit him. He's very engaged in what we were doing this summer. We're sending him videos of the guys working out. I know he called Kevin Knox after we drafted Kevin, independent of us. So KP's engaged.
Now you flew to Latvia to meet with him. What's the #1 thing that impressed you about him in that first face-to-face meeting?
He has an incredibly engaging personality. Like I felt like I had known him already. The way he welcomed us, he hugged me, dapped me up. We just immediately started talking. He threw on some Spanish hip hop and jumped in his Bentley. And, you know, he and I was bobbing down the street. And then we didn't get to talk basketball until like well after dinner that night because we were just talking family and you know, he was getting to know my wife. And he did, that's a fine, by the way, whoever's phone just went off. We find that in our locker room when the phone goes off. But yeah, it was fun, man. And I went over there, I had my laptop, I put together like this hour-long edit, offense and defense. And we never watched one speck of film. Like, he's taking us to Latvian saunas and, but it was great. It was just, you know, it was exactly the kind of trip that you know, I couldn't have envisioned a better trip connecting with our best player.
All right, before we get to the next question. Just gotta shut this off.
Exactly. Yeah, I get your money.
I like that,
man. Get your money, man. Get your money.
All right, the fans know, Knicks fans, and I've been one of them since I was 6, they understand the deal going into every season, what's going on with the team. And even though this is not going to be an easy year, perhaps, for wins and losses, and you obviously hope that you'd be the big surprises, but they understand building blocks and the young players. And I think one of the reasons why the fans are so excited is the 2 guys that you drafted this summer. All right, Scott, first let's start off with Knox and talk about what put him over the top for he was the guy that you wanted.
Well, there's a number of things that stuck out for me and our staff with Kevin. I've been following the young man since he was a high school player. You know, he has the length and athleticism that is playing and versatility that plays so well in the NBA today. He can shoot the basketball. He's a natural scorer. You know, he came up in the household where his dad was a professional football player, so he's been around professional sports and played at a program like Kentucky.
He was obviously highly touted, but the second-round pick, I wouldn't call it a safe pick, but it's a creative pick. And you look, Mitchell Robinson, a lot of people obviously didn't know, and then we watch him in the summer league.
He knew.
Right. I mean, that's called scouting. And
oh, yeah.
So talk about this guy, and what made you think that he has a real chance to be something?
Well, if you, again, to do the background on these guys is so important. Well, you know, Mitchell, when he was a high school senior, he was ranked with all the top players in his class. And he's a 7-footer who's just a freak athlete, natural athlete.
We felt something good about him. We felt like who he was as a person, his commitment to being great, you could tell. Now, there were other guys we brought in that we said, you know what? We don't want that dude with us.
Yep.
So we saw people that we knew we didn't want.
We said that a lot.
We said that a lot. But there was something special about this kid that we felt good about from the time we just sitting talking to him, going out to dinner with him.
He was elbowing me the whole draft. So we got Kevin Knox. We're like, yeah, home run, right? So we started getting to 30. We're trying to work trades to get up. And he's like, I'm telling you, if he lands there, we got to get him. We got to get him. Because I didn't know the kid. But obviously, I got great trust in Scott and Steve and these guys. And, man, when I started getting into the film on him and then we got him in our gym and he started practicing with us, I was like, this is going to be a fun project.
All right, let's get some of the fans who've been sitting over by the microphone. Come on up and ask the first couple of questions.
Greg Armstrong, 26-year season ticket holder. I'm super excited about the new beginning. What do you guys expect to see from Kevin Knox this year?
I think that's a coach's question.
Well,
Hey, we drafted him. Now it's
coaches.
That's on the.
well, you're gonna see what I think you're gonna see. You're gonna see an exciting offensive talent. You're gonna see a kid who will be challenged defensively. That I think can become an elite defender in the league. You're gonna see me put him on a lot of great players early on, so he can get his butt kicked a little bit and go through the lumps. You have to. That's the only way. If you just think back to Kobe Bryant's early years, right? You remember those first few years of the playoffs and he went through hell.
Yep.
Right? Steve Smith, all these, they was posting him, beasting him. I think Chris Childs gave him a 2-piece. So he's got to go through that, okay? And so you'll see some ups and some downs, but I think you're going to see the reason we drafted this guy is because he really wants to be great. He understands what's coming at him right now. And the fact that he's so coachable really excites me with that kind of talent.
How's it going, Mike, Steve, Coach Fizdale, Scott, Anthony Donahue, who've been a season ticket holder for 15 years. I probably only missed like 10 games since 2001, though. So, anyway, so obviously there's no getting around the fact the last 17 years haven't always been pretty, and this is more for Scott and Steve. What's one or two things that have maybe you've seen go wrong over the last 17 years that you're like, we are not doing this again, we are not going down that road?
Well, you know what, even though I know you ask me all the questions, you don't have to come to a forum to ask the questions. You see me all the time.
We like best friends.
But what we're not going to do is take shortcuts. We're not going to trade our draft picks. And really, we believe that New Yorkers will live with a plan and buy into a plan as long as we can articulate it and we live it. And so I've seen when there's something shiny that says, okay, let's change direction right now because we can go get this guy. And we're not going to do that. We're going to lay out a plan and we're going to stick to it.
So that said, if one of those free agents is available via trade, you're probably going to stay away?
We're going to build this team the right way, and what we're not going to do is trade away assets to get a guy that we could go get on our own later.
Coach has to, obviously, he's in charge, but there are some times where you've got to let him figure things out themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, again, I think sometimes you can get in trouble just designating who's going to lead them. The troops should have a little say in that too, I think, when it comes to the locker room. I want to see some of these young guys step up too. I just hit Kevin Knox with a text this week. I said, you know, you went to 1 year of college. Mitchell Robinson didn't have any of that. Can you just lead him? And so, out of nowhere, I get a text back this weekend. Kevin Knox, hey, coach, me and Mitchell just left the gym. We got a workout in together. We're about to go eat. Just letting you know. Perfect. So just setting up little things like that so they start grabbing the leadership without just handing it to them, right?
And it's the little things that the guys see it. You know, Ennis earned his stripes a little bit last year. We had a game, he came into the locker room on crutches and played. Yeah. And the dudes on the team were like, wow, I've never seen a guy come in on crutches and still play in the game. So those little things that happen that elevate a guy's stature within the group, you know, they happen naturally.
But I said it earlier too, and I really mean this because they've given me the freedom to do this. Leadership, playing time, starting positions, you got to earn it. We're not giving out nothing, all right? So that's going to build our DNA with this team, is that everybody has to earn what they get.
Frank Ntilikina, where's he at in your mind in terms of development, and what's his best position?
You know me, I'm not going to give him a position. I just think that, you know, these guys are so talented now. You got multiple players on the court that can dribble, pass, and shoot. Why put them in a box? So I just look at him as a guard. I look at him as a guy that can make plays for other people, make open shots. He can organize you, and he can guard 1 through 4 on the floor. That is where I think he's extremely elite.
And I would add, really proud of him this summer, the way he attacked developing his body. I think he's about 15 pounds heavier, and that's all pretty much 10, 15, you know, muscle that he added. I mean, worked extremely hard. I mean, he went home for a couple weeks right after the end of the season, and then he's been in New York for every day throughout. And so the commitment that he's showing to get better as a player, you can tell, you know, you see him walk around in the practice facility with his shirt off all the time, so I know now he got a little more confidence. The last year, he never would do that.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But now, the other thing with Frank, there was really a positive sign was he was invited to play on the French national team.
Yeah. Yes.
In a qualifying event this year, and he made the decision not to play because he said, I want to be in New York with my teammates, with the coaching staff, getting ready to play for the Knicks. So I'm going to pass.